So a very good morning and welcome to one and all present here on behalf of IIC. I, Dr. Preeti Mishra, as convener of IIC BPT ITM, extend a warm welcome and heartfelt gratitude to the Honorable Chairperson, Mrs. Alka Das Gupta ma'am, and to Honorable President, Shri Viraj Sagar Das ji. I extend a warm welcome to our respected Director, S.S. Chauhan sir. And now a very warm welcome to all the participants, students and IIC members. Now I owe a very warm welcome to our resource person, Dr. Bhavin Shah sir. And sir is the head of the Department of Electronics and Engineering in Atharva College of Engineering, Mumbai. Sir is having a 10 years of experience. He has published around 30 papers in international journals and presented numerous papers in various national and international conferences. Sir has secured second rank in the Global Entrepreneurship Exchange 2020 Idea Pitching Contest organized by University of Massachusetts, USA. And Sir is the Innovation Ambassador of the Ministry of Education. And Sir is working in this field of entrepreneurship, skill development, innovation from last 3-4 years. So he is having a very vast experience and deep knowledge about this field. And today, sir will be taking the session about lean startups and the viable products. So, sir, you are most welcome, and the dice is all yours. Now you can proceed, sir. Sir, I have enabled the multiple sharing screen. You can share your PPT.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just allow me a moment so that I could share my screen with you all. Hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir, visible.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Preeti Mishra, madam, for such a wonderful introduction, and a very warm welcome and a very good morning to all the dignitaries present for this session, all the dear participants, faculty colleagues, and all my dear friends. Today we are going to have a webinar on lean startup and minimum viable product of business. Why this topic becomes utmost importance in the present scenario. See, there are two aspects of the business. That is, either you go with a traditional approach or you decide to start early. There is also a term known, many of the entrepreneurs or many of them who are really interested in entrepreneurship activity may have known that this is a very early stage terms that most of us may have been come across, that is fail early. Why do we speak about fail early? This is because before proceeding ahead and investing a lot of amount onto a certain business, it is better for many of them who are really interested into lean startup to invest only a bit of it and work out onto the product, the business, the market opportunities, test it, iterate it, have it feedback, and maybe from that feedback they may learn the variables that may have not been worked for their product or business. which may be one of the reasons for their product which may not be working, and it may give the correction time in the meanwhile so that it could be improved and reintroduced in the market. And this is where all lean startup is focused on. So what does lean startup mean? It's all about experimenting. It's all about testing. It's all about iterating. Lean startup focuses on introducing a new product on behalf of an existing company. The consumers may have already demonstrated the product that may have been introduced to the market, which is as opposed to a developing of the product and then hoping for the demand that will emerge, which our traditional startup methodology follows. The major goal of these lean startups are to get rid of wasteful practices during the initial stages of the company, wherein high amounts of funding for comprehensive business plans or product which may have no flaws. The whole goal of lean startup is to be successful in the early stages and need to focus definitely on the customer's feedback for their initial products. The lean startup methodology aims at using the lowest amount of these resources possible. You might have come across various marketing technologies. Nowadays, a new marketing technology has been started into the malls. Even before the launch of a product, you may have get samples to taste at various places nearby the malls or famous locations. This is nothing but the testing of the product onto various demographics. The whole idea is to get the feedback about the product, to learn about what was available, what is the taste, and what could be introduced so that it could easily grab the present market. We all know that there are many potato chips industries in the market. But then too, every year or two, we see few more companies having a jump inside the same market. The market really do have the big fishes and even the smaller ones. It does not mean that someone is already available that no one could introduce into that particular market. This all depends on the company's focus on how to grab the customers. Of course, to do that, the value should always be added to that. And what is the value that we are talking about with the present example is the taste, the flavor. We already had a classic potato chips available, salted potato chips available, masala chips available. But we do have a product presently available as jalapeno, cream and onion, barbecue, and whatnot. It is all about testing the taste of the customers and introducing something which a customer has not even had it out. Of course, the product main ingredient is the potato chips, but yes, the focus was on the exciting flavor that would really attract few customers or more of the customers towards it. And this is where the market was really there. It was already grown market, but during this process, you learned it out, you tested your product, and you introduced it with a value to it. The whole idea is about gagging customers' interest. That is a consumer's interest by gauging the product and determining how product might need to be refined. And this is where pre-testing of product takes place. The whole idea is through lean startup If you need to fail, or if your idea needs to fail, it needs to fail quickly and cheaply without much of the investment. Hence, a very famous term is attached to lean startup, that is fail fast, fail early. Failure is not an excuse, but it's a lesson. The lesson that we need to understand the market, we need to understand the customer's needs, we need to understand the feedback that a customer might have given. We need to definitely work on the variables whose feedback is really weak. It may happen that customer may have liked the product but not the flavor, not the or XYZ possibilities. And this is where a company could really learn fast, could improve onto that particular sectors and reintroduce it back into the market. In the worst case scenario, it may even happen that a product may definitely fail for certain areas. It does not mean that it does not work here, that it will work, it won't work anywhere else. We talk about the Mercedes, the BMWs, the Audis. These are all the luxury car segments. It had even happened with them. The sales of these cars was not increased at the initial launch. Especially when we talk about a metro city, let's consider Mumbai. So when we talk about Mumbai, there are two major parts of the Mumbai chains. North Mumbai, South Mumbai, followed by East and West, right? Now, South Mumbai is typically considered to be a well-known luxurious hub compared to the North Mumbai. Opening a store or a Mercedes store onto these particular parts and regards didn't show up a significant sales. Of course, there were purchasers onto these particular regards, but then there were not the good number of customers who could invest onto this. But yes, the same thing when opened a showroom towards the South Bombay worked really well because there were potential customers to invest into something luxury. And this is where a geographic change was understood by the fortune companies, and they decided to open more stores towards South Bombay and a multi-car showroom or tie up with a multi-car showroom for succeeding sales into the North Bombays and other sections, which may definitely get their product marketed into that sectors and the customers reach. When we talk about lean startup, we talk about a few of these characteristics that's needed for the lean startup. The lean startups allows to develop a product based on the desires of the market. It uses the validated learning to determine customers' interest. This may be through focus group. This may be through the trials and errors prior to the launch and various other parts and regards. We nowadays see a whole new set of advertisements onto the e-commerce platforms. The whole idea is to know what a customer needs. I had really seen in the past few years that before a launch of a major mobile, which focuses its whole marketing onto features, but they do not disclose the features, and they just give you a nice button, subscribe to the product, follow to it, you'll receive a link. What do you expect to have in this product? Maybe in this case, we are focusing on the mobile devices, the smartphones. And this is where they are learning that what are the expectations of the customers who are really interested. And of course, they try their best to implement it before the launch. And this is where gone in a flash. This is a very common term in the e-commerce market. A flash sale, gone in a flash, a lack of selling just a flash of the minutes is very much famous onto that particular regards. This is just because they have learned prior to the launch. They have learned well, they have learned the market, they have learned the customers' needs, and they then introduced the product which they really knew that there are potential customers available for the numbers that we will introduce, and there would be a quick sales of this product on launching it. Further to it, the characteristics also decides onto the metrics of the product popularity and lifetime of the customer value. Now it all happens on how much the customers stay with your product. Of course, there is a life cycle of every product, right? And the further part is been calculated as a churn rate of your product. Of course, we'll take it at on the ahead parts. Follow to it, that is starting out with a minimum viable product to assess the reaction that the customer will have to your product. And finally, it's all about experimentation, which is favored as opposed to sticking to a strict plan, which is followed by a traditional startup practice. The major requirements of these lean startups, base of these lean startups is all about experimentation. All speaks about experimentations to be more valuable than the detailed planning, wherein the customer's reaction is paramount. Rather than building a whole business plan over a 5 years, investing a whole sum of time amount to make it a successful. The whole idea is to get into the market quickly, to get successful, get scale in a very short period of time. It all focuses on the model based on hypotheses that are tested rapidly. And one of the important is that is feedback on these parameters that the product needs to improve. Because it's just on the sufficient parameters to launch and to be in the market, followed to successful advancements into the product which may be needed. So please request the participants to please mute themselves. There's a lot of disturbance at the back. Please request only mute themselves. We proceed ahead. When we talk about the requirements of the lean startup, we already discussed that failure is the rule, but it is not exactly the exception. If failure is an exception, failure is a lesson for the advancement. Wherein the customer's feedback is treated as the most viable thing to improve the launch in the market. When we talk about the customer's feedback, we are especially talking about the needs, the interests, the options, the features, the pricing, the distributions. When we May please request the dear participants, there is a lot of disturbance in the background, to please mute yourself. Maybe I guess Diksha, please mute yourself. The lean startup methods identifies problem needs to be solved. Then develops a MVP, that is also known to as minimum viable product, which is a smallest form of that product to allow you to introduce to the potential. But when you are trying to, in this particular regards, if there are any flaws, it may have been rectified at an early stage through feedback, and if it had to fail, it may fail early. Rather than it may fail at a later stage when you have invested a lot of time and a lot of money on it. The whole idea is to develop a product which should be converted into a scalable business model into a very short period of time. The major difference when we talk about a lean startup and that is the traditional business is developed all around a multi-year business model plan. It's well focused on what its offerings are, what is their targeted customers, how will they raise the money, how will they get fundings, and what will be the principles to develop their product, whole developed around their business. When we talk about the lean startup all designed on the technology wherein the entrepreneur start with their business first, searching for a business model and then testing their ideas. Wherein major focus is on the feedback from the potential customers and then adjust their ideas to move ahead with the product development. This is a very famous term when we talk about lean startup. This is build, measure, learn. The whole methodology is centered around these three keywords, which Chris had once introduced in his talk. When we talk about the build cycle, this is the methodology creation of a minimum viable product begins. First to a sort of product that may have enough features to keep your customers satisfied and launch the product to be successful to grab on to the present available market. If you definitely focus onto a small subset of customers to test the product on the range of demographics and get work onto that particular market. Then comes measured part. Once the product is already launched, it's time to learn, time to measure results of the MVPs have been launched, and then fine-tuning it and making it more feature. When you talk about more feature reach, it all depends on how what product is working in the market. Who is the customer's interest? What is it that they are looking for towards the product? What is it that is already available? What it is that is you are adding the what is your USP for the customers to grab on and to stay on with your product? It is solely decides onto the various surveys and analytics that may be taken post the product is to understand the working of the product in the market and understand the various needs to grow on, to improvise onto the minimum viable product launched into the market. Finally, all about learning. once it's been measured, once we have the analysis available with us, the whole thing is the data that has been received. Isn't an easy task. A wrong learning or an overconfidence may be a major cause of concern for a lean startup to fail. There should be a strong understanding among the entrepreneurs that we are not in the market to fail, but we are in the market to get successful for early success or over a period of time. Just introducing a product in a hurry or learning something based on your potentials may not help your product. Of course, as an entrepreneur, as a technological advancement that you have introduced to the market, you should be very much pretty sure in having a goodwill about the company and the product. What may not be the truth. The customer is a key. The listening of the customers with regards to the various parameters of your product is really a need of an hour. To understand the problem that the customer is facing and to improve your product based on the customer's feedback will definitely help any startup to be in the market for relatively long time and generate a good effort, a goodwill, and a good grasp onto the market and the targeted audience. And when we talk about this fancy term minimum viable product throughout the build, life and life cycle, what is this all about? The present schematic shows us in short about what is that is a minimum. The minimum focuses on the most rudimentary barebone foundations of the solutions that may be possible. However, is focusing on the sufficient enough part of the product which is enough for an early product focuses on something tangible the customers will be able to touch and feel. When we talk about MVP, we should definitely ask the following few things. That who is our target customers? What is the product that they actually need? How you will build a scalable business around these needs. This will all give you to follow the presence approach, that is by learning the market approach and from the research of prioritize the minimum viable features that may be required for the early adopters to get easily attracted to your product. Develop around a prototype. Maybe you want a sketch, a PPT, a CAD drawing, a 3D print, or even a video, and get feedback. So that before the launch of a product, you may have the minimum viable features to be available for the product you already introduced to the market. The whole methodology is focused on MVP simple steps. That is a minimum viable products, simple steps. When we talk about MVP, we talk about making it easy. We talk about making it as simple as possible. And what does this simple mean? The simple means start with the market research. ideate on value additions, map out on user flow, prioritize the minimum viable product features, launch a minimum viable product, and exercise, build, build, measure, and learn onto the product that has been already launched. When we talk about starting with a market research, it's all about ensuring that whether the MVP that you are designing is fulfilling the needs of the target users. And there's one very famous quote by W. Edwards. It is not enough to do your best. You must know what to do and then do your best. And this is where the market research starts with. Without knowing what the market needs, your research may fail. The whole idea is to first learn what is the need of the markets and then do a research onto it so that you could definitely fulfill the needs of the targeted users. Post to that, the next step is ideate on value additions. Through the research, you may have already got an idea of what is the need of the market, what is already available, what is there which needs to be introduced or as a newness or as a value addition to the product that you are going to launch. That would create a value to your product. And it definitely focuses on what is the value that a product that will be offered to your users. How will it benefit to them? And why would they buy your product? And when you really discuss about these questions, you will get an really good solutions to your questions, which is famously termed to as the value proposition. And it implies the product that has been introduced to the value to the people in its most basic state, which has been outlined as a MVP designed around the needs of the customers. Follow to your map out of the